Hello, everybody. Welcome to this tapping break, the first one for 2022. How exciting. Today, I wanted to do a tapping for working with big emotions. Ooh, it's windy out there. You can see in our nice new window. How exciting is that? Anyway, so today I wanted to do some tapping around big emotions, like I said. And really just kind of holding space for people or for you in this moment or for myself, whenever, for the big emotions. I myself am a very emotional person. I can be very emotionally reactive. I can be very also emotionally responsive. And the thing that I feel when I think about moving through personal growth and expansion and doing this kind of work for myself, it initially was about how do I lessen those emotions? How do I make them not so big? How do I make them not so like influential or intense or charged? And I've begun over the last few years to really realize, and this is a work in progress for me, but I've realized that it's not about turning down the emotion as it is turning down the reaction, the external response or the external reaction to an experience. Because emotions are guides. There are guiding posts, there are guidelines, they are, the parameters in which we, if we feel like we're continually bumping up against or experiencing these charged emotions, whether that's anger, frustration, sadness, grief, loss and disappointment. I mean, there's a huge spectrum of emotions, which I could even talk about a little bit to the emotional vocabulary that, for me personally, when I started doing personal growth work, was very limited. I was either pissed off or I was extremely sad, right? Or I was depressed. And so once I started to kind of expand my emotional vocabulary, I started to understand more of a depth. And I got to go into like the thing behind the thing is what I call, that initial surface reaction or that initial surface experience that triggers a reaction or triggers a response, triggers an emotion, triggers a thought. And, I was able to look at that and, 9 times out of 10, that initial experience or that trigger is not the actual problem. It's not the actual thing that's causing that emotional reaction or emotional response. And so in being able to understand the depths or another layer of the emotion, I was able to understand, the deeper depths of where this is stemming from. Like I said, because it's not usually that initial in the moment trigger that is, setting you off or creating that emotion for you. It's something from the past that is has just not been processed or has another layer of processing. So, in that being said, the thing that I also wanted to talk to or point out today is within emotions. I've heard people talk about how our thoughts influence our emotions, which influence our actions. And I personally have looked into this for myself. I've tried to really understand what am I thinking when I get, reactive, and what am I thinking when I get responsive with my emotions, whether I'm, flying off the hammer about something or whether I am actually coming to a situation with a very, I don't want to say it's more of a settled and emotional energy, not so reactive, a little bit more responsive. And I've tried to take a look at, okay, what was I thinking in those moments? And I'm thinking, I'm pissed off. I'm sad about something. I don't like how this feels in my body. I don't like how the tone of something. I don't like it. Just rubs me the wrong way. I can feel it contract within me. There's never usually a thought pattern behind it, which is interesting for me. And so as emotional, if you are an emotional person, this can be very helpful for, our feelings can, influence our thoughts, which then influence our actions. So I feel like thoughts and feelings kind of interact or like can be swapped in and out. There's no first and then second. I feel like they're interchangeable, emotions and thoughts, with that process of feelings, then thoughts, then actions, right? Or thoughts, then feelings, and then actions. So if you are more like me in the fact that you feel, and then you think, and then you react or you act, meaning that your emotions usually have a pretty significant influence on what you start to think. And then your thinking can then influence, it's tinged or it's tainted with that. It's got an overlying theme or an energetic theme about the thoughts that come into your mind, the thoughts that you're able to be available for, right? So anyway, I wanted to just kind of throw these things out there because, emotions are just freaking a shit show on the best of days. But it's really actually because you're never going to lessen intensity or charge or the reaction or response to a degree, because you're always going to experience anger, you're always going to experience sadness, always, there will always be opportunities for us to feel stress and anxiety and grief and loss and excitement and joy. But what I'm really trying to say is that we're never going to get rid of any emotions. And there's always going to be external factors that will trigger us or that we're going to be sensitive to. So it's not about trying to change the emotion. It's about trying to change the space in which we are allowed to feel that emotion. And so that we can build up our own discernment around, what we need to do to create more ease in being able to express yourself emotionally. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's do a first round of tapping and just see what comes up and out of that. So if you're in a place to do so, repeat after me, follow me through the tapping points. If you've never experienced tapping before, just follow along. If you are unable to actually physically do the tapping points and repeat after me, or you just don't want to go through the tapping points, you can just tap on the side of your nail bed, back and forth. You can't mess this up. Really just kind of follow along. And as you feel the need to change fingers, just alternate through. But I encourage, if you are in a place to do so, to go through the points and to actually repeat after me and through the tapping round. So let's just start. We're going to start with a venting, letting out the emotions. So if you are experiencing something right now where you feel triggered or sensitive emotionally, and it's kind of a charged and intense feeling, you can use what I'm saying, or you can replace the words if I do something specific that's not really applicable to you, or you just move through the motions to kind of hold the space. Is really what we're doing here, is holding space for these energies, these emotional energies, to come up and out without wreaking havoc on our lives. So tapping on the side of the hand, say, even though I can be very reactive sometimes, and a lot of the times this does not play into my favor. That's okay. I love and accept where I'm at right now anyway. Even though emotions and emotional energy is sometimes very reactive for me, I feel out of control with it. But I love and honor where I'm at with this anyway right now. Even though sometimes I am very emotionally charged, and I feel that all sense leaves me, and I am consumed by the emotion. I am honoring this part of me now with love and acceptance. Top of the head, say, sometimes I lose my shit. Eyebrow point, sometimes I start crying without even knowing why. Side of the eye, sometimes I am over emotional. underneath the eye. I've been called overreactive. Underneath the nose. Some may say I'm a loose cannon. Underneath the mouth. I feel sometimes like I'm out of control. Collarbone point. And that I have no power over my emotions. Underneath the arms. I feel emotionally charged and intense. Underneath the chest. And I feel at the whim of my emotions. Wrist points. Part of me just can't seem to change this. Top of the head. And part of me knows they're there for a reason. Eyebrow point. But I just don't know how to handle them. Side of the eye. I forgive myself for the past experiences. Underneath the eye. That I've had when I've been emotionally reactive. Underneath the nose. I forgive myself for letting my emotions. Underneath the mouth. Take charge of my life. Collarbone point. Taking charge of experiences. Underneath the arms and leaving me feeling vulnerable and ashamed. Underneath the chest. I give myself permission now. Wrist points. To hold space for these past emotions. Top of the head. And I give myself permission now. Eyebrow point. To just be where I am right now. Okay. I'm just going to give a second. We'll see. Uno momento. Okay. It's not, I don't think, too important. We'll see when we get there. Anyway. So, taking a nice gentle breath. Hopefully you've already done that while I had my little phone issue. And just seeing where that lands. Really taking a look at how does it feel when you think about past emotions. What are the emotions that come up? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel ashamed? Do you feel vulnerable and just like you have a hangover, an emotional hangover because you reacted a certain way? And the thing, I have had this many times. And what I've realized is that for me personally, there will always be a level of big emotion in me. That is just who I am. That is how I feel very deeply. And I either hold it all in or I let it all out. There is happy medium, but there is also, to get to that happy medium, we have to take a look at the reason why we feel reactive and what seems to trigger that. And also, why do we hold it all in and what seems to create us, create that bubble of you're not allowed to show that. You're not allowed to be that angry. You're not allowed to be that sad. You're not allowed to be that emotional. You're not allowed to be that expressive, really. And just knowing that the reason why, if this really resonates for you, if you are an emotional person and you really express emotions, either very extrovertedly or very introvertedly, there's a reason for that. There is something beneath the surface of why you feel that way. And once you start to uncover that, and once you start to kind of peel back the layers, and once you start to make eye contact with why you feel so deeply, you can start to see that, the feeling is not the issue. We want to have the feelings. We want to keep feeling. We don't ever want to release anger completely. We don't ever want to not feel sad. How void of emotion would it be if none of us were, felt? But I feel like once we begin to peel back the layers and do a little deeper work and healing on that whole processing of the emotion and what we've been carrying for so long, and the initial point or root of why you feel you have to hold it in or why you feel like you have to let it all out from one extreme to another, that allows you to then move through emotion without such charge and without so much charge and intensity behind it, because there's no like feast or famine energy around emotion. So hopefully that makes sense. But this next round of tapping, I just want to kind of release a little bit about the emotions around our emotions, if that makes sense. So again, we're going to take a look at the shame, fear, guilt, the vulnerability, I think, is another one. And just, how emotions have kind of been boxed into this corner of, if you're an emotional person, you're not a rational person, or you're not a practical person, or your emotions, kind of divert you away from being, from a sense of knowing, I guess, from a sense of being enough and worthy and accepted, I guess. So let's take a look at that and see how it goes. So tapping on the side of the hand, say, even though I felt ashamed of my emotions in the past, I love and accept myself right now. Even though I have felt guilty for emotional reactions, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have felt judged because of my emotional reactions, I forgive myself right now. And I love myself just as I am. Top of the head. I have felt shame and guilt for being emotional. Eyebrow point. I have felt judged for showing emotion. Side of the eye. I have felt crazy for expressing myself emotionally. Underneath the eye. I have felt misunderstood and judged. Underneath the nose. In past experiences, I have felt let down. Underneath the mouth. And vulnerable because of my emotional reactions. Collarbone point. Emotions, I have been taught, underneath the arm, that emotions are bad. Underneath the chest, that emotions are reckless. Wrist points, that emotions are unreliable. Top of the head, and therefore I am reckless. Eyebrow point, I am unreliable. Side of the eye, and I am bad. Under the eye, I forgive myself now for believing any of this bullshit. Underneath the nose, I give myself permission to express myself freely. Underneath the mouth, and I'm open to realizing, collarbone point, that whoever said that emotions were bad, underneath the arms, whoever made me feel that emotions are reckless and irresponsible, underneath the chest, were just very uncomfortable with their own emotional state. Wrist points. Had nothing to do with me. Top of the head. And it was just their projection of emotions onto me. Eyebrow point. But that doesn't mean that my emotions get to run the show. It's out of the eye. I'm getting clear about this now. Underneath the eye, I am getting aware to the fact that underneath the eye or underneath the nose, that my emotions are actually guiding me. Underneath the mouth, my emotions are letting me know that something is off. Collarbone point. Or that something is important. Underneath the arms. I am open to taking a look at this on my own time now. Underneath the chest. And to rewriting my perception response of emotions now. Okay, guys. Obviously, somebody's trying to get a hold of me. Let's see what the heck is going on. Okay. Never mind. That's good. Okay. All good. Okay, doke. So, taking a nice deep breath here. Let's just take a second and just land into what has maybe come up for you around emotions. And if any of this resonates, maybe, a certain thing resonates, maybe certain experiences or memories pop up right now. And I think what the direction I kind of want to go now is to just realize and hold space for people that just because we've experienced things in the past doesn't mean that that's the way that we have to experience things now. Yes, maybe we've built a habit around, calling ourselves emotionally reactive or over emotional, or we've given ourselves this labels of this is how I deal with emotions and it's scary shit. And yeah, I'm a loose cannon. I'm a wingnut. I lose my shit and it's just out of control, right? There's a lot of things there that I've really had to reconcile with myself. And I mean, I can joke about it now, and I've joked about it for years, right? But there's a sense of also dismissing ourselves when we joke about it in such a way that we are, dismissing that our emotions actually have some value, that our emotions actually do tell us when something is important. And so we want to hold on to that. Like I said before, we don't want to dismiss our emotions completely. We don't want to get rid of our emotions completely. We want to be able to work with them and understand why they're coming up in such a way that, we're able to then work with that. We're able to work with them. We're able to hold space for them. We're able to forgive ourselves for anything that has come up and out that we're like, holy shit, what the hell happened there? And again, I think the biggest thing for me, and I think that if you resonate with this will resonate with you too, is that we want to move from emotional reactivity to emotional responsiveness. And that all happens basically beneath the surface, right? And it takes a lot of practice. And I don't think we'll ever get away completely from emotional reactivity, just like we'll never completely get away from, anger or frustration or the dark side of emotions, right? But just as a practice, as a way of, for me, it's really about being present with the emotion too, right? Let's just start with that, because if we are avoiding emotions, if we are suppressing our emotions, if we are making our emotions bad, if we're dishonoring our emotions, we cannot honor ourselves fully or wholly or completely. And so that's the name of the game. That's the goal of life, is to work towards creating completeness, fulfillment, wholeness within. If you're in this space at all, if you're picking up any of what I'm putting down, the end goal, what we will continue to strive for as a lifelong student, is to create fulfillment, create wholeness from within. And so if we dishonor our emotions, we are dishonoring a part of ourselves. We're outcasting it, and we can never actually find that fulfillment and that wholeness because those emotions will never ever go away. So with that being said, I want to do this last round fairly quick, and then I want to do a quick breathing tapping within this round, just because this looks different for everybody, right? This has different there's different experiences, and I'm not going to presume to say that anybody's reactiveness or emotional reactiveness is not warranted or valued, or is not it's not necessary. But we're going to come into a place now where we can open up the door to being with those emotions, to staying present with those emotions, and to kind of maybe very thinly, layer by layer, taking off what they actually represent beneath, like the thing behind the thing. So taking a nice gentle breath, tapping on the side of the hand, say, I've had big emotions in my life, and I will continue to have big emotions in the future. And this is totally okay, because I love and accept myself no matter what. I will continue to experience big emotions, but I am open to learning how to work with them. And which means I will have to be present with them, which might be really uncomfortable. But I'm going to hold space for myself with loving kindness now. I have a lot of past baggage with emotions. They have not always been on my side. But I'm ready to bridge this gap between emotional reactivity and my response to emotions now. And I am ready to honor myself along this journey. Top of the head. I am committing to showing up for myself, eyebrow point, with grace and acceptance, side of the eye, to honor my emotions, underneath the eye, with more grace and acceptance, underneath the nose. It's going to be uncomfortable, underneath the mouth. It's never going to be perfect, collarbone point, but practice makes progress, underneath the arms. And it doesn't matter if I have to start this over and over again, underneath the chest. I want to work with my emotions. Wrist points, my emotions don't have to be out of my control. Top of the head. My emotions can be my guide. Eyebrow point. I would like to work with my emotions more, side of the eye, so that I can use them as a level of importance, underneath the eye, so I can gauge my level of importance. Underneath the nose, in my experience around me. So now we're going to just start breathing. So tapping under the chin, just taking a nice gentle breath in and out. collarbone point, breathing in and out. Underneath the arms, breathing in and out. Underneath the chest, breathing in and out. And wrist points, breathing in and out. Okay. So with that being said, I mean, it's a process. It's a hell of a process. And like I said, it'll be a life. I mean, if you're into it, if you're into this stuff, like I'm into this stuff, or even just for the moment, if you're into it, it's you're becoming a lifelong student. This is not something that I feel like we will ever learn to master in our lifetime, but it is something that we can move towards to just have a more fulfilling life, to have a more whole and complete experience in our life. So if you are an emotional person and you do struggle with emotional reactions or overreactions, or feel like you are over emotional, or that there is a lot of baggage behind your emotions, whether that means that you express your emotions very openly and very externally, or whether you really suppress and hold those emotions close to you. And then, if you do carry your emotions on the inside more, where are you holding that within your body? And how is that impacting and influencing your overall physical, mental, and emotional state of health, right? So there's so much there. If you're curious, reach out. I am doing one-on-one work, and I have a mix of, one-on-one, a group work, a mastermind that's coming up for the beginning of February. But also, just if you have a lot of emotional baggage and you resonated with this and you feel like you would like to peel back some of the layers so that you can kind of start to understand the mechanics and the gears within, like kind of how the mechanics, like the thing behind the thing, reach out and let me know, and we can definitely have a little chat and see if working together would be the way to go. But I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope there's some little nuggets in there somewhere that I'm trusting that whatever came up and out was necessary or valuable in some way, shape, or form. So I am going to sign off before I start rambling even more. So have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll talk with you guys soon. Okay, bye.